My car's got my Celtics jersey.
All right, have the notes open, ready to go?
I feel like I only need to watch like
It's your Carlino.
Yep.
Are you a Knicks fan by chance?
No. But game always comes down to like last like 90% of it.
All right, here we go. We're heading into the last part of the unit here, which if you thought multiplying was tough, this is going to be even tougher. All right. We are not going to do anything matrix with another matrix. It's all going to be on the rows. Okay, we're going to be changing rows in a single matrix. So before I show you how to do all this, I want to make it clear what you're allowed to do on a row. Okay, number one, you can flip-flop rows in a matrix if you have to. All right, so you can take row one and flip it with row two and rewrite it to form a new matrix. You can multiply a single row. Listen to this. You can multiply a single row by a non-zero number. You cannot multiply a row by zero ever. All right, it's got to be something other than zero. You multiply one row by. And then this one's going to get a lot of you here. We're going to work on today is you can multiply a row by a number and add it to another row. Okay, so you can multiply row one by 5 and add it to row 2 and get a brand new row. All right, so all we're gonna do here today is perform different operations on certain rows. All right, so take a look at this first one here, number 4A. What do you think R1 means? Row 1. And what do I want you to do to row 1? Multiply everything in row 1 by a half. Now the question that's going to come up immediately is, well, what about rows 2 and 3? Nothing. Don't touch them. Just rewrite them. Nothing happens to rows 2 and 3 in this first one. You're only going to multiply row 1 by a half. So ready? 2 times a half gives you 1. -6 times a half gives you -3. 4 times a half gives you 2. Draw on that vertical bar, which is our equal sign if we ever had to write it as an equation. 10 times a half, 5. Do not touch the other rows. It just said row 1 do that. So row 2 and 3 remain the same as the original. All good on part A. All right, make sure for parts A, B, and C, we're doing it to the original matrix, not the previous one. Okay, not the new one you made. So everyone make sure you always go back to the original. All right, kids, wild guess what I'm asking in part B. Switch rows 1 and 2. Just flip. We're allowed to do that. Just flip them. That's it. What about row 3? Nothing. Don't touch it. Just flip-flop rows 1 and 2.
What's the point of that, though?
Oh, you'll see here. It's not going to, there's no point today, but you'll see why we need to do it probably Monday.
Is there a point of that line?
Yeah, because I'll remind you what that line means here in a second. Remember, the point of the vertical bar is if I had you write this as an equation, everyone would say x plus 5y minus 5z bar equals 0, right? That's the purpose there. That's what it equals over here to the right. Is there any confusion yet? Because I think there might be when we do this next one. Anything yet? All right, here we go. Next one. What does it ask? Let's take it one piece at a time. What's it asking me to do to row 1? -3, then add that number to its spot in row 2. But the question is, what row gets replaced? Like it was easy here, just replace row 1. Whatever row you're adding on to, is the one that gets replaced. Whatever row we're adding to is the one that will get replaced. So all I want you guys to do now, please don't get ahead of me, is just rewrite rows 1 and 3. because those are not getting replaced. It's just row 2 that is getting replaced. So just rewrite rows 1 and 3. Yep, 1 and 3. All right, you're ready to calculate your new row 2. Use the rule. Ready? -3 times row 1. Let's take the first entry, which is 1. -3 times 1? -3 added to, what's in its spot in row 2? 3. So -3 plus 3?
0.
That's my new entry here in row 2. Different color. Everyone see that? Let's do it. I'm still going to go slow. -3. Oh, hold on. No, I'm son of a. I'm not going back to the original, am I? No one was going to catch me on that. I didn't flip-flop. I got to go back to the. It's coming. I was going back from. No, never mind. We're good. I'm using this one. I'm confusing myself here. Sorry, kids. 1 -3 2 0 2 -2. All right, back to business. That's a 0. Sorry. We already had a matrix there to use. I was going back up. All right, ready? -3 times -3. 9 plus what's in row 1, which is a 1. So -9 plus 1. 10 is going to go there now. Everyone see how these numbers are coming about? All right, next one. -3 times 2 is -6 plus -1. What's going to be my new entry here? Negative. That's what I was thinking. You want me to go to back calling on people? -7. -3 times 0 plus 7.
7.
And that is it. Everything else remains the same except for row 2. Anything? One doesn't make you great. Okay, next one. Which row are we replacing here?
3.
Only row 3. I know that's a huge matrix, huh? What do I got? 4 by 5? That's huge, but I'm only replacing row 3 here. So all the other rows, I would just go and write the same now. Okay, rows 1, 2, and 4 stay the same. The only row you're replacing is row 3. Everyone have row 1, 2, and 4 written? All right, ready for your new row 3. -2 times row 1 plus row 3. So -2 times 1 plus 2. What do we end up with there? 0. Got to multiply the correct row and add it to the correct row. -2 times -1 plus 0. What's that going to be? 2. -2 times 1 plus 3. Should be a 1 here. And then what do I have here? -2 times 1 plus 4 should be 2. And then finally do it with -2 times 3 plus 11. It's at -6 plus 11. So I should have a 5 here. Questions? When you do part B, do it back on the original one, just not the new one we have. Which row's getting replaced in part B?
4.
Row 4. Go back to the original matrix, please. Go back to the original
So you
matrix.
don't put the new
No.
row 3 in it?
Nope. Nope. We go back to the original matrix. So everything should be the same as the original except for row 2 now. And I'll let you guys take a minute, see if you can do this one on your own. It's 4 calculations you got to make. Take row 1, multiply it by -5, and add it to what was in row 4. Zero, 6, -3, -1, -9. Should be our last row 4 there. You guys have about 6, 7 minutes right now to go ahead and do number 4. Okay? Yep.
So, how did you get to
What's that say?
-5?
Times row 1. What's in row 1 right now?
1?
-5 times 1, and then I add it to what's in row 4.
Oh, 4.
That's what's there, right?
Yeah.
I add it to what's in row 4. Follow the
0.
If it's a part A and B question, please perform B on the original matrix, not the part A. Go all the way up to number 5. Don't do number 5 though. We got to do that as a group.
You subtract stuff? I think it's just that.
Bro.
Yeah.
Keep going a couple more minutes, then we'll go over the answers before we do 5 and 6 together.
Definitely not joining that. Okay, go for it. Yeah, what the fuck?
I don't even know what happened.
Right?
I remember therapy, but I think I'm switching to for free.
Whatever. Me.
What?
I don't even I'll be doing it.
You showed me up.
Yeah, I can do that.
Can I start trying to?
No.
No, I'll never do that.
What do you think is more important of your arrows?
I really don't.
I'll take the arrow. This is gonna just kill one.
Too old for what I have finished. Now we're gonna finish the city. Come to the garden.
I couldn't stop it.
Still looking for way too many.
That's why I haven't.
I'm looking at these shots to try to take.
Bro.
I mean, if you have the ball, we're trying to shoot this shit.
Not even
That's what I'm thinking. You have that copy.
I mean, you know, I left it with you. Oh, my gosh.
Row 2, -3 times 6 plus row 2.
Yesterday.
It's still the same numbers, same rows. -3 times row 1 plus row 2. Same way you found all the other numbers in row 2.
Right.
I'll be like 8.
Can you have your answers out? Ready?
Yo, I can't. This big.
I thought you said go back.
That was a chill guy.
Have your answers out, please.
Take a walk through.
Okay, here you go. Check them. I just pay attention to the colored rows because those are the ones that should have been changed. Everything else should have been the same, so hopefully you didn't change those. Okay, so there's A and B, and then the other one on that page. Again, just take a look at the colored rows because those are the ones that should have been changed.
Isn't that's supposed to be -6?
Where?
The third one?
This one?
I guess it doesn't matter, but the 6 above that, top right.
This one?
Yeah.
What's that? 18?
Well, no, you don't change it, right?
Oh yeah. Any questions on those? And the final 2 big ones here, check them. Here's your row 3 and your row 4. Okay, you're gonna get challenged now.
Let's get it.
Okay. Before we do these last two, can somebody remind me the only three things you're allowed to do on a row?
Change it.
What's that? I don't know what change it means.
Multiply.
Okay, I can flip it.
Multiply.
I can multiply it by a number that's not what?
Zero.
Zero. Anything else? I can multiply a row, then add it to another row. That's it. That's it. All right, remember that. Remember that. All right, here we go. Now you're going to get challenged, and I'm doing this because this is going to lead into the grand finale next week. First of all, we need to write this as a matrix, which I believe on day one we did together. All right, so I need this written as a matrix first. Remember, we do not include variables. We just keep the numbers. Where the equal sign is, we put a vertical bar. So first row should be 1, -2, -1, vertical bar, 2. 2, -1, 1, 4. Again, I'm just plucking the numbers off that are in front of those variables. -1, 1, -2, -4. All right, are we ready? Here's what I want your help with. I want to get 1, 0, 0 in the first column by doing operations. 1, 0, 0. Well, the first task is already done because what do I have there? I already have a 1 there. Okay, so that's done. I need your help turning this 2 into a 0 and turning that -1 into a 0. But hey, remember, you can't just multiply. Listen, you can't just multiply row 2 by 0. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. You can swap rows. You can multiply a row by a number that's not 0, or we can multiply a row by a number and add it to another row. Okay? So that's what I want to try to do here. Let's first start. We're not going to do it all at the same time. Let's first start with that 2 turning into a 0. What would you need to add to it to turn it into a 0?
-2.
You would have to add a -2 from it, right? Is there anywhere up here that I could multiply by and get a -2 somewhere? How about we go right where we started here? What would I have to multiply this 1 by to get -2? -2, right? So wait, you're telling me, right? Multiply row 1 by -2 and add it to row 2. I would get a 0 there, wouldn't I? All right, there's our first step. Ready? And this is how we show it. Draw an arrow showing me we're about to make a new matrix. On that arrow, you show me the rule now. You show me what you want to do. All right, and what did we say we're going to do? We're going to take row 1 and do what with it? Multiply it by -2 and then add it where? To row 2. That'll get me, hey guys, I don't care about anywhere else. I just want a 0 right there. And that will do a 0. So go ahead now. Did row 1 change? Nope. Did row 3 change? Nope. All right, let's write our new row 2. So everything in row 1 gets multiplied by -2 and it gets added to row 2 now. So again, what's that 2 going to change into?
0.
That's what we wanted, right? A 0. All right, now we got to figure out what that -1 next to it's going to change into. And I don't care what it changes into. I just wanted that number to be 0. So what's that? 4 plus -1? So it changes into 3. All right, the 1 next to it's going to change into a 3. And the -2 is going to change. I'm sorry, the 4 there is going to change into a 0. Good so far. What's the next thing I need to do? I need to turn that -1 now into a 0 because it said you need to get 1, 0, 0 in the first column.
But I thought that the different equations, you just go back to the base.
You keep building now. We're going to keep building. That was just separate multiplying the rows.
How do you say
Okay.
that then?
We ready? Now I'm going to draw another arrow and say now I'm changing this matrix. All right, kids. This has got to change into a 0. What's got to be added to it? A 1. Can I get a 1 from anywhere? Yeah, go back to
Row
row 1. All right, that's the whole point. I want you to, once you get a 1 there, we can use that to get any number we need. So all we're going to say is, hey, take row 1 and add it to row 3. That's the one we're replacing. Using the previous one now. Row 1 and 2 stay the same. So you're adding row 1 to row 3 and putting those new numbers in row 3. So you should be getting a 0 here now. That's a 1. -2 plus 1. -1. -1 plus -2. And 2 plus -4. Questions? One more time, and I'll show you why we're doing this at the end. Here we go. Write it out. 1, 1, -1, -2. Hey, before we get going though, let me make a quick comment. You can write these in any order you want. Let's say I wrote this equation on top of the other two. I don't have to write that one first. I can write whatever one I want first. It won't change the matrix. Because remember, what number do I want in the top left corner here?
1.
A 1. So pick one that starts with 1 and write it first. Okay, you don't have to follow the order it goes. All right, we got to get 1, 0, 0 again. All right, what do you have to add to the 2 to make it into a 0? -2. You always can get a -2 from row 1 as long as there's a 1 there. So what do you want me to multiply row 1 by? 2 or -2? -2. And then add it to row 2. So you can go ahead, keep row 1 and 3 and replace row 2 now. Let's see if you can get it. The new row 2. Multiply everything in row 2 by -2 and add it to row 2.
Why would it be 9? Oh, wait, never mind, I wrote it wrong.
Everyone go with their new row 2. 0, -3, 3, and 9. And then let's go. Finish it now. How do I make this -1 over here into a 0? Add it to
Row 1.
row 1. Yep. So it should be row 1 plus row 3. All you're doing is taking row 1 and adding it to row 3 and replacing it.
That's gonna suck. Just hold on.
Everyone all right with the final matrix where you get 1, 0, 0 in the first column? Not tomorrow. Maybe I'll give you a little taste on Monday, depending on how we do tomorrow. Here's where this is going right now. Does everyone agree that when you wrote these, everything in column 1 are your X's, right? What was with the X? Everything in column 2 was with the Y's, and everything in column 3 was with the Z's. Here's where we're eventually going to go next week. You already know how to do 1, 0, 0, right? Well, now I'm going to do 0, 1, 0, and 0, 0, 1, because at the end, ready? If I had you rewrite this into equation form now, what's this going to be right here? What's the 1? 1, x equals 4, y equals -2, and then this would be, there's your answer to the 3 equations, 3 variables, without having to do it old school style. And equations will be disabled starting next week. Absolutely. Yep. I haven't thought about that already. Okay. So that's where we're going. So this is just the start of it. Getting the 1, 0, 0. All right.